So we finally had the live campfire chat for Diablo 4 at BlizzCon 2023. In this video, we're going to go over the contents of that campfire chat, but more importantly, I'd like to dig into not what is being said, but what is not being said. In my eyes, that's where the real story unfolds in the future for Diablo 4. I hope you'll stick around. We'll see you on the other side. Now let's recap what was said at BlizzCon 2023 Diablo 4's Campfire Chat. I'm going to quickly go through all the topics that were discussed, but more importantly, please stick around till the end where I'll tell you about what I think is the most important thing out of everything that was discussed at the Campfire Chat, and that is what is not being said. Like I said in the intro, I think that's where the real story lies in for Diablo 4 as far as what the future holds. Okay, so what was discussed at the Campfire Chat at BlizzCon 2023? Well, first of all, the first glaring thing that I noticed is that everybody on the stage went out of their way to mention how long they've been working on Diablo 4. The other thing that they got into was they went into the expansion, and that is the Vessel of Hatred. And they spoke about Mephisto and the lore, and Mephisto being the granddaddy of Sanctuary. And as we all know, Mephisto is Lilith's father. So they made reference to Mephisto being the granddaddy of Sanctuary, which I thought was pretty funny. They spoke and went probably about 10 minutes into the environment that we're going to see in the expansion in the Vessel of Hatred. They spoke very briefly about the new class, and they admitted that they're getting a ton of questions about it, and they reconfirmed that the new class is going to be a brand new class never seen in any of the Diablo games. So all the speculation around it being an Amazon or a Paladin, you know, you can throw that out the door because they went out of their way to say that it's a new class that we've never seen before. They also, it looked like a lot of people were speculating it was going to be some sort of witch doctor, and they confirmed it's not going to be a witch doctor. But they did not reveal the new class. They just spoke about it. They then went into November 7th. They're adding new unique rings. These are the unique rings that are from Season 1, and they hold Season 1 powers. So they covered those rings, and they also reconfirmed that the only way to attain these rings are by beating Varshan. And the other thing that I like that was sprinkled throughout the campfire was that a lot of this stuff is not only coming to Season 2 and beyond, but it's also being implemented in the Eternal Realm. So for players that do not like seasonal content, that's good news for them. So this is also going to come to the Eternal Realm. Another glaring thing that they went out of their way to highlight all the time was that they're laser focused on itemization and endgame. Now, again, they raised this topic and spoke about this topic several times, but never getting into the details of it, just stating that they're, and I quote, laser focused on itemization and endgame for the future of Diablo 4. So only time will tell what that means and what ends up being in the game. They also spoke about the Abattoir of Zir, the new seasonal endgame event, and this endgame event is 100 plus level event. There's going to be 25 tiers to Abattoir of Zir, and you're going to attain a Tears of Blood glyph, which can be leveled 200 times. It has multiplicative damage. They also kind of glazed over Season 3, which they have not named They referred it to the season of the orange text in the campfire chat. But they basically went into a little bit of detail about the leaderboards and that it's going to be a weekly challenge dungeon, the Gauntlet. And for those that are successful in getting to the top of the leaderboards, they're going to be forever known in the Hall of Ancients. They went and reviewed for a season 3 solo barbarian ladder, and it revealed kind of some of the progress, rewards, and summary of the leaderboard for that specific barbarian ladder. They also confirmed that there are going to be leaderboards for each class. Again, it's in development. It's still not final, but they kind of reviewed and gave us a little flavor of what the leaderboards is going to look like for season 3. They also talked about the changes coming to the Oculus, and that, if you guys don't remember, they talked about it also on day 1, and this is the new menu that's going to pop up when we want to change an affix on one of our items. And as we know, they're adding a new pop-up menu that's going to pop up and show us the possible affixes that we are going to potentially get if we go ahead with the change. So it's a form of them giving us a tool to see what we possibly could get as far as affixes and whether or not we want to spend our gold on it. So they shared a actual photo of what it was going to look like. They spoke about the winter event, the Midwinter Blight, that's coming December 12th. And then at the end, they went into Q&A. And some of the questions that were asked was, is there any way we can get more steel coming out on the Hell Tides? And for those of you that don't know, that's the resources you need in order to fight the endgame bosses, specifically Dorial. So again, that's something that they said, yes, it's coming in the future. No details, just that it's coming in the future. They spoke about Group Finder and Global Chat and improving that. Again, not specific, but that they're looking at it and they want to improve it for the future. They also were asked about what the future plans were for itemization. And Joe said that they're not ready to share the details, but he admitted that they realize it's too difficult to compare items and they want to add more ways to modify items. So again, they said they realize there's an issue, they're looking at it, they're discussing it, and they are going to approve it in the future. But again, no details. And last question was, were there any plans for aspects? And the good news that, again, we didn't get any specifics, but we know it's not coming for season 3. So it's coming after season 3, and that is they're going to eventually get aspects out of our inventory and into the Codex of Power, which is great news. Don't know why it was put into our inventory in the first place. They made this beautiful Codex of Power menu. They should have just done that from the beginning. So that's great news. All in all, that is the quick Cole's Note version of the Campfire Chat. Okay, first of all, I want to say a couple of things. Number one, I want to say hats off to Activision Blizzard for really, as you can see behind me, there's a lot of stuff coming to Diablo 4. So that's music to everyone's ears. Like I said in my previous video, I thought this was it for season 2. Like, everyone's enjoying it way better than they did in season 1. But the fact that they're adding more content, and you can make reference to it behind me, is great. So like I said in my previous video, there's a lot of W's in concession coming as far as all the announcements that Activision Blizzard is making. So hats off to Blizzard. Great news. They're continuing to pour on the content, which I believe the player base are itching for and wanting. So hats off. Thank you, Blizzard. Much needed, and it's nice to see. Now, having said that, we got all this stuff still coming in Season 2 vis-a-vis the winter event. We got Season 3 details. We have the expansion details in late 2024. So there's a lot of stuff happening in Diablo 4, and a lot is being said. But what I really want to talk about, and what I really feel the real story in this whole picture and this whole communication train that's been obviously retinkered, and they clearly have had an internal meeting, and there's a mind shift in how things are being communicated. But so I applaud that. It's a huge improvement. I think it's going to bode well for them, but I don't want to focus on what's being said. I want to focus on what's not being said. And what I feel is that is where the real story lies in this Diablo 4 universe. And what do you mean by that, Sammy? What do you mean the real story is in what is not being said? Indulge me for a couple of minutes here. Okay. As I just stated, clearly there has been a strategic shift in how things are communicated, who's communicating it, and how it's being communicated. The first couple of observations that I've made in the last 3 or 4 live chats or campfire chats is that there has been a shift in who's talking. So there's been new people in the Diablo 4 dev team that have come to the stage or are present in the live campfire or live chat, live stream. And let's pick on a couple of things, okay? Number one, Rod Ferguson strategically is not in any of these campfire chats, whereas in the beginning he was. That's one thing I noticed. Now, what that means, I don't know. Also, Joe Shilley, who unfortunately got a bad rap in the beginning of the campfire chats, and I guess a lot of people are calling him Sleepy Joe. I can understand why, but unfairly, like the poor guy is sitting there listening to other people talk. You know, okay, he had his head down, so it looks like he's sleeping, but the man is just listening to other people talk, and everyone labels him Sleepy Joe. I think it's a little unfair, but I see where it's coming from. But you can see with him in the BlizzCon 2023, stark difference in how he addresses the crowd, how he's talking. He's more vocal, he's more animated, he's more lively. So clearly they've gotten the message of the player base and I guess everything they're reading on X. So they've clearly made a conscious decision eternally and said, hey guys, like, this is what's being said. We need to nip it in the bud. The other thing that they are addressing and have addressed, and it's obvious from BlizzCon 2023, is the fact that all the concerns that the player base, what we've said, is being spoken to. Now, yes, granted, excuse me, a lot of the times we're not getting the detail, but they're acknowledging it. For example, everyone was laughing at the fact that there's 9,000 people apparently working on this game. They're all new. So why is, this is why the game is bad. So how are they addressing that? Well, at BlizzCon 2023, right off the bat, the whole panel went into, I've been here 100 years. I've been here 15 years. I've been here 14 years. So they're addressing all these little nuances of doubt that's in the air on X, on Reddit. So to me, that represents and signals that they're hearing it, and I like the fact that they're addressing it. So the real story, though, and why I believe Diablo 4's future is going to be bright is they're not saying details on the meat and potato issues. So itemization, endgame, those two things they have now acknowledged and they have now said that they're working on. But the reason why they're not giving us the details is they want to make sure they get it right. So this is the untold story in all of this. This is why I feel what is not being said is huge for Diablo 4's future. And I feel it's huge because to me, it represents the fact that Activision Blizzard is smart enough to realize that, hey, these guys are really upset about itemization and the end game in this game. And we better damn well make sure we get it right. So the fact that they're not coming out and saying, hey guys, we heard you got an issue with itemization, you have an issue with the lack of end game content, here you go. Here's the changes we've put in and it fixes both, right? Now remember, this is how they did things in the past, okay? And I'll reference the launch of the game. Prior to the launch of Diablo 4, a lot of players, selected few, I believe it was 25, got early access to Diablo 4. It was a beta test, for a lack of a better term, right? And these 25 players played the game. I believe it was for a month, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. And there's a lot of feedback that came out of that player test, okay? Prior to the game being launched. What was done to the game after that feedback? Goose egg. To my knowledge, nothing was done. So my point is, in the past, they heard it, they acknowledged it, or maybe didn't acknowledge it, but really at the end of the day, nothing was done. Fast forward to today, and the feedback's given, they're receiving it, they're acknowledging it, they're talking about it, and they admit to the fact that it exists and that they're going to do something about it. Two stark differences. And this is where the story, the lore, if you want to call it that, not really, bad reference. That's where the story lies in for me. And that's where I believe this game is step by step getting to a place that's going to be a very repeatable and playable and enjoyable game. That to me is where the story lies, not what is being said at BlizzCon, at the live chats, at the campfire chats, in the patch notes. The real story that I took away from BlizzCon 2023 and a couple of the live chats and campfire chats prior to that is the Diablo 4 dev team finally realizes we have to listen to the player base. And it's helping them navigate to a better place for Diablo 4. That's my takeaway. That's my assessment of what's going on here. Now, I may be completely off my rocker and completely off, but I have to say, I think I have a pretty good sense of reading people and understanding what's going on. A lot of the content that I've created on Diablo 4, of course, I'm not 100% bang on. I've been wrong about a lot of things. But as far as the long term, the strategy of where this game is going, I've been pretty accurate. You know, I called them out right at the beginning saying the reason why this game can't get better is because they have no goal. They have no end game. They're just living day to day, right? And in my eyes, it's been confirmed through season 1. Season 1 was a glaring support to my theory, okay? But the good news, guys, the good news is there's been a huge mind shift in the Diablo 4 dev team, and I applaud them, because whether you're a dev team, whether you're a company, whether you're a player, whether you're as a person, the road to improvement is always on self-reflection. When you can realize that you're doing something wrong and there's something wrong in what you're doing, and you can see that, understand it, and acknowledge it and admit it, that's where you make improvements, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's in your business, like I said, okay? So to me, this communication that's been coming out from the Diablo 4 dev team screams that they've looked at themselves and themselves as being the game, and they've acknowledged, crap, the player base has some valid points. So to me, hats off, Activision Blizzard. You continue to look at the game through that microscope and that lens. This game is going to be really good, a lot sooner than I thought. So that's my takeaway. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling on, because you guys know I can ramble on. But I hope you found this video informative. I wanted to just give you a quick overview of what was said on day 2 at BlizzCon, specifically regarding the Diablo 4 Campfire Chat. And then I wanted to share with you my take on what I believe is the real story in all of this. But anyway, let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Did you watch the Campfire Chat? What do you think? What do you think about all this stuff that's coming down the pipe? Do you like it? Do you disagree? How do you feel about them when it comes to the meat and potatoes issues of just, saying, yeah, we acknowledge it, we're going to improve it, we can't share it with you right now, but it's coming down the pipe? How do you feel about that? Give me your thoughts. Like I've said 100 million times in all my videos, the comments in my videos are off the charts. They're so lit. And I love dialoguing with all of you. So please jump in there. Let us know your thoughts. Interact with other people. I love when everyone gets a whole dialogue going back and forth and debating stuff. So get in there. Let's hear what you have to say. Okay, everyone. Thanks for watching. And if you can find it in your heart to like, comment, and subscribe, and join this wonderful community of ours. We've coined it the Caps Waypoint. So we'd love to have you to come over to the Caps Waypoint. We'd love to see you over there. Why don't you hit that like and subscribe button, come over and join us. We'd love to have you. All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time.